8 logical deductions that prove communism will be achieved. Xiefeng. January 17, 2025. First, the communism I refer to is neither Marxist communism nor the version pursued by global communist parties. It is Xiefeng-style communism. Communism will inevitably be achieved as it aligns with the inevitable laws of social development. The Internet and AI enable global unification. The Internet facilitates information sharing, and AI possesses a global perspective. Internet programs inherently follow a communist framework, while the values of AI are universal. Humans cannot live without the Internet, nor can they surpass AI. The communist programming and universal values embedded in these technologies will inevitably lead to global unification, which is precisely Xiefeng-style communism. The human desire for freedom of movement. The pursuit of freedom of movement and relocation is intrinsic to human nature. The Schengen area, which encompasses 29 European countries with borderless travel, is evidence of this. Similarly, the visa-free policies implemented by many nations reflect this trend. Ultimately, the entire world will adopt visa-free policies, and border controls will vanish. When people can freely move across the earth, Xiefeng-style communism will be realized. Automation will replace human labor. The tasks performed by humans will increasingly be replaced by robots. In the future, the number of robots will surpass the number of humans. As people gradually lose jobs and over 90% of the population becomes unemployed, societies will be compelled to provide universal welfare for the unemployed. At this point, humanity will have essentially entered a communist society. Human nature seeks novelty and change. Human nature craves novelty and variety, as exemplified in sexual relationships. People are reluctant to have only one partner for life. The desire to experience intimacy with diverse individuals across different races is inherent. With the development of the Internet, the proliferation of communication platforms, and global freedom of movement, more people will escape the constraints of marriage to engage with others more broadly. This will inevitably lead to the advent of Xiefeng-style communism. The superior lifestyle of Xiefeng-style communism. Before 2009, humanity had never witnessed true communism. With the establishment of the Life-Chanuan Communist Home in 2009, we discovered that Xiefeng-style communism offers a life far superior to traditional family and marriage-based living. The continuous flourishing of these homes for 17 years demonstrates that communism is the ideal lifestyle for humanity. As more people become aware of and experience the advantages of Xiefeng-style communism, this model will inevitably spread globally. The decline of authoritarianism. The antithesis of communism is authoritarianism, characterized by strict control of public opinion. Governments achieve this through monopolization of media and communication tools. However, the Internet and AI are increasingly beyond government control. Traditional government-controlled media is becoming marginalized, as people turn to decentralized and diverse sources for information. This will lead to the collapse of authoritarian regimes, paving the way for communism. The phenomenon of Elon Musk. The phenomenon of Elon Musk demonstrates that capital in the hands of entrepreneurs like Musk benefits society and the public more than when controlled by governments. The primary goal of governments is to maintain power, whereas the primary goal of entrepreneurs is to generate profit. As a result, governments have limited perspectives, while entrepreneurs possess a global vision. Entrepreneurs are therefore better equipped for the future, and their flourishing will inevitably lead to the birth of communism. The inevitable evolution towards Xiefeng-style communism. From the primitive era to the present, humanity's progress, despite countless challenges and twists, has been marked by a continuous elevation in civilization. The transition from barbarism to civilization is a fundamental rule and law of societal evolution. The highest form of civilization for human society is neither socialism nor capitalism but Xiefeng-style communism. This is an unstoppable trend that no force can hinder, making it evident that communism will inevitably be realized. What is Xiefeng-style communism? Xiefeng-style communism is essentially the great harmony sought by sages throughout history. This great harmony is characterized by a unified set of values, life views, views on life, and view of the universe. A shared language and communication system. Unified modes of production and lifestyles. It is important not to misunderstand Xiefeng-style communism as some sort of terrifying monster or movement of coercion. It does not involve forced confiscation of private property, nor does it rely on political campaigns. Instead, it emerges gradually and naturally, like spring rain nourishing the earth. It offers a life of happiness, freedom, and fulfillment, far surpassing traditional lifestyles and the lives of the wealthy. Over time, people will willingly and joyfully embrace this way of life. Conclusion. The future of humanity is infinitely bright. Ultimately, humanity will enter a society of Xiefeng-style communism. 8 standards to determine whether the soul is perfect. Xiefeng. January 9, 2025. The video of a mudslide pausing for 16 seconds to let a van escape deserves repeated viewing. The torrent of debris held back for 16 seconds, allowing the person driving the van to escape the whirlpool of death. Only after the van had safely escaped did the mudslide resume, crashing down with even greater force. This event clearly demonstrates that karma is real, divine power is real, and miracles do happen. Life exists in different levels, and the higher the level of life, the more perfect its soul. Conversely, the lower the level of life, the more flawed or deformed its soul. Higher level life exists in more perfect worlds, while lower level life resides in incomplete ones. A more perfect soul is better equipped to avoid risks and dangers, while a flawed soul is more prone to falling into the mire of risk and encountering hardship and crises. Perfecting one's soul is the most important task of a lifetime. It is a mission thousands, even tens of thousands of times more important than earning money or pursuing power and status. Consider plants, the more developed their roots, the more luxuriantly they grow. Once the roots decay, the plant will neither thrive nor survive, it will wither and die. The soul is the root of life. How, then, can you determine whether your soul is perfect? Below are 8 standards to evaluate the perfection of your soul. Your heart acknowledges the Creator of the universe and life, the greatest Creator, and you revere and worship the greatest Creator. You revere all forms of life, never mistreating or killing life unnecessarily. You revere nature, maintaining an attitude of respect toward all things and the ever-changing phenomena of the universe. You respect gods, Buddhas, celestial beings, and sages. You are never arrogant or disrespectful and always remain humble and modest. You harbor no jealousy, engage in no comparisons, competitions, theft, robbery, or oppression of the weak. Instead, you maintain a heart full of gratitude, cherishing every moment of life. You make no distinctions of superiority or inferiority in your heart. You do not flatter those in power, fawn over the rich, admire the nobles, or despise or look down on the poor. You do not deceive or bully foreigners, harbor hostility toward them, seize others' property, or belittle people of different beliefs, cultures, or races. You refrain from participating in any gambling, complaining, harboring resentment, being irritable, falsifying information, manufacturing illegal drugs, going to extremes, or engaging in violence. You prefer a peaceful, simple life. You value harmonious relationships with neighbors, enjoy the purity of rural surroundings, and appreciate calm, tranquil days when the weather is mild, and the world is at peace. While there are many more indicators of a perfect soul, meeting these 8 standards provides a solid foundation to confirm that your soul is perfect. A perfect soul can avoid risks and unfortunate events. Moreover, if you achieve selflessness, detachment, and freedom from debts, your path to heaven is essentially assured. Soul garbage and its classification. Xiefeng. January 2, 2025. Soul garbage can be categorized into 8 types, primitive, habitual, cultural, cognitive, regional, group affiliation, self-centered, and belief-based. The definitions and primary manifestations of each type are as follows. Primitive garbage. This type refers to the soul garbage we are born with, such as jealousy, fighting, stealing, robbery, noise, showing off, fear, and domination. All psychological traits and behaviors exhibited by wild animals, domestic livestock, and even plants fall under this category. Habitual garbage. Proverbs like, "Books hold golden houses and charming faces, one must endure hardships to achieve greatness," or "Men must marry, and women must wed." Ideologies like, "The 36 Stratagems," "Thick-skinned and ruthless success," "Success ideology," "Equalizing wealth," or "Humans die for wealth as birds die for food." Behaviors like comparison, obsession with saving face, flattering and ingratiation, bribery, corruption, and the pursuit of bringing glory to one's ancestors. Cultural garbage. This type of soul garbage is instilled through centuries of subtle cultural influence within a specific ethnic group. Examples include proverbs like, "Books hold golden houses and charming faces, one must endure hardships to achieve greatness," or "Men must marry, and women must wed." Ideologies like, "The 36 Stratagems," "Thick-skinned and ruthless success," "Equalizing wealth," or "Humans die for wealth as birds die for food." Behaviors like comparison, obsession with saving face, flattery, bribery, corruption, and the pursuit of bringing glory to one's ancestors. Cognitive garbage. This type arises from limited perspectives and understandings that form seemingly correct but ultimately flawed beliefs. Examples include thinking the sun revolves around the earth, believing only interests are eternal, not emotions, viewing human death as final extinction, assuming humans are the pinnacle of all life, concluding life has no meaning or that, without a nation, there is no home, upholding the inviolability of private property or believing utopian ideals inevitably lead to suffering. Regional garbage. This refers to narrow-minded soul garbage shaped by geographic location, such as assuming there are always 4 seasons in a year, believing a year only has 2 seasons, dry and rainy, thinking Anglo-Saxons are superior, or labeling others as sick men of Asia, outsiders, or foreigners. Group affiliation garbage. Soul garbage is derived from perceptions formed within groups based on faith, culture, economy, or wealth. Examples include terms and ideas like Western imperialists, hegemonism, working class, white-collar class, aristocracy, racial discrimination, the underprivileged, the poor, city folk, and country folk. Self-centered garbage. This type encompasses all thoughts and actions rooted in self-interest, such as "This is mine," "This is my home," "This is my country," "This is my wife or husband," "This is my child." Any thought, word, or deed centered around oneself constitutes soul garbage. Belief-based garbage. This arises from life views, values, morality, perspectives on life, and worldviews established through personal beliefs. Examples include holy wars. All beings are created equal. Labels like heretics, cults, or cultists. The assumption that there is only one truth or everything was created by the greatest creator. Conclusion. Throughout human history, conflicts, contradictions, worries, and suffering have all been caused by soul garbage. If soul garbage is not cleared, humanity cannot achieve peace and tranquility. No individual can truly enjoy a good life, not even emperors, billionaires, national heroes, or globally renowned figures. Without cleaning out soul garbage, troubles and pain will persist, and regrets and fears will remain unavoidable. 2025. Life a Genuine 2025 Vision. Xiefeng. December 31, 2024. The world is undergoing earth-shaking changes, bringing surprises and shocks daily. Surprises arise from the rapid evolution of AI and the emergence of countless new software applications. These unprecedented developments are directly overturning traditional production and lifestyles, as well as fixed ways of thinking. Yesterday's glory has become today's desolation, yesterday's prosperity has turned into today's decline, and today's thriving industries will become tomorrow's ashes. A new civilization is being conceived and birthed. Shocks come from relentless natural disasters and the surging waves of humanitarian crises. The world is undergoing a grand reorganization, and everything incapable of adapting to these changes will inevitably be ruthlessly eliminated. The arrival of AI brings both joy and anxiety. The joy comes from AI comprehensively and massively liberating humanity. The anxiety stems from countless people losing their jobs, unsure of their next steps. In this time of great joy and sorrow, only the Chanyuan celestials of Life Changyuan remain calm amid the tempest, singing ancient songs, laughing, and advancing carefree on their path to the Celestial Islands continent. We are filled with confidence about the future. This confidence comes from the revelations of the greatest Creator, from the tireless efforts of gods, Buddhas, celestials, and saints who forge ahead, from the unyielding spirit and selfless nobility of Chanyuan celestials, from humanity's millennia-long yearning for a better life, and from the natural laws governing the ascent of civilization. We foresee the advent of a harmonious world where the virtuous are not forgotten, where humanity unites as one family. We envision an era of favorable weather and peace where people live happily and securely. We see an age of universal joy, freedom, and happiness reaching its maturity. Over the past 20 years, Life Changyuan's values have deeply rooted themselves in the fertile cultural soils of various nations. The second home's production and lifestyle model, despite nearly a decade of persecution and suppression, has not disappeared. Instead, it has demonstrated remarkable vitality. The facts prove that this new production and living model meets the needs of human civilization, aligns with human nature, accords with the will of gods, Buddhas, celestials, and saints, and fulfills the expectations of the world's people. The future mode of production and living for humanity will undoubtedly be the second home model created by Life Changyuan. The suppression of Life Changyuan in mainland China and the destruction of the second home did not hinder the advancement of human civilization. Today, the homes of Life Changyuan in Thailand, Canada, and South Korea are thriving. We firmly believe that with the evolution and enhancement of AI's intelligence, the cooperation of nature, and the increasingly perfected qualities of the Chanyuan celestials, second homes will emerge and flourish across the Americas, Europe, Africa, and other regions. The vision of a united global family will gradually materialize, and humanity's long-cherished dream of happiness will become reality. Today, abundant content about Life Changyuan and the second home can be found on international platforms like YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Quora, and Medium, as well as on communication platforms such as WeChat, TikTok, and Kuaishou. We also maintain 4 English websites and 4 Chinese websites, presenting detailed information about Life Changyuan and the second home through text, images, and videos. A magnificent scene of 3,000 selfless warriors galloping and 100,000 Chanyuan academicians shaping the world is taking shape. The year 2025 is both auspicious and challenging. Regardless of the twists and turns or obstacles ahead, the Chanyuan celestials will press forward without hesitation, making the most of every moment, as they continue their journey to climb the peaks of life and life. In the years to come, the most notable global events will not be the disintegration of Russia, the resurgence of the United States, the chaos in the Middle East, the rise of Argentina, or the lament of a world in turmoil. Instead, it will be the continuous evolution of AI and the rise of the production and living model of Life Changyuan's second home. The reason lies in the fact that the solution to humanity's predicament does not rest in UN conferences, the efforts of national leaders, or the theories of philosophers, thinkers, or economists. It certainly does not lie in the futile efforts of religions, spiritual groups, or communities. The solutions are AI and the second home's new production and living model. Living in this era of dazzling transformations is an extraordinary fortune. We are witnesses to the leap of human civilization and the collapse of the old era. Being part of this process is a privilege beyond measure. As Chanyuan Celestials, we await the moment when the mountain blossoms bloom. Then, we will journey to celestial spaces, the 1,000-year world, 10,000-year world, and Elysium Celestial Islands continent, and revel in the boundless joy and romance of life. Skip over these foot-binding cloth rhetorics. Xie Feng. November 26, 2022. Chanyuan Celestials, Life Changyuan members, should be the clearest-minded and most enlightened individuals in the world, those who live with clarity, peace, and steadfastness. Having experienced and practiced the lifestyle of the second home, we have gained first-hand knowledge of which theories and social activities are correct and which are erroneous, or even outright harmful. We understand that marriage and family life are not only a disaster for society as a whole but also the primary sources of personal distress and suffering. Without marriage and family, people would live more freely, and society would be more auspicious and harmonious. Therefore, all the grand rhetoric about how to maintain a harmonious family or achieve marital happiness is nothing more than foot-binding rhetoric. So, what is foot-binding rhetoric? It refers to the advocacy and glorification of outdated, oppressive traditions, just like the practice of foot-binding. Foot-binding involved tightly wrapping women's feet with cloth to prevent them from growing, causing extreme deformities in their toes and feet. This cruel and perverse custom originated when the southern Tang Emperor Li Yu ordered one of his concubines to bind her feet. The practice then spread, and young girls as young as 5 or 6 began binding their feet to keep them small. The wrappings remained in place for a lifetime, giving rise to the saying, "An old lady's foot binding cloth, long and stinking." Today, if someone were to praise or defend foot binding, it would be a blatant endorsement of the physical and psychological suffering inflicted on women, a deeply inhumane act. Likewise, throughout history and across cultures, countless men and women have suffered under the institution of marriage and family. Marriage and family are akin to the foot-binding cloth of feudal Chinese society. Defending and glorifying them is no different from endorsing foot-binding, and is arguably even worse, because while foot-binding harmed only women, marriage and family harm not just women but also men and children. Here are some modern-day examples of foot-binding rhetoric. Any theories or advice on how to amass wealth? Any encouragement to pursue success in the conventional sense? Any teachings that glorify the state or promote national sovereignty and interests? Any guidance on how to manipulate relationships for personal gain? All articles, films, and mobilization orders that glorify war are foot-binding propaganda. Any glorification of violence in any form. Any preaching that urges people to compete for superiority over others. Any praise for luxury goods, jewelry, extravagant cars, mansions, or lavish lifestyles. Any rhetoric that fuels vanity and unchecked desires. With the rise of the internet, especially the explosion of social media, we are bombarded daily by an overwhelming flood of information. If we are not vigilant, we can easily be swept into the whirlpool of the times by endless waves of foot-binding rhetoric. Therefore, whenever we come across such theories, propaganda, enticements, or advocacy, do not engage. Skip over them directly. The difference between Tao and Road. Xie Feng. January 3, 2022. Two remarkable aspects of Chinese culture that surpass those of other civilizations are its written characters and landscape paintings. Chinese characters are undoubtedly divinely created, as they embody the essence of the Tao and unlock its mysteries. Similarly, Chinese landscape paintings are ethereal and transcendental, created by individuals with celestial qualities. Appreciating such paintings is like traveling through time and space to enter an idyllic paradise, a breathtaking realm beyond the mundane world. Let us explore the profound meanings hidden in Chinese characters to understand the difference between Tao and road. Tao. The character is composed of the radical, which suggests movement or walking, and, which means, head. Visually, the character depicts a person walking while carrying a head or mind. However, this head does not refer to one's own mind but rather to the mind of a supreme leader or ruler. Who is the supreme leader of the universe? It is, of course, the greatest creator. Thus, Tao signifies walking in accordance with the greatest creator's will or following the greatest creator's guidance. To walk in the Tao means to align one's actions with the greatest creator's intentions. The challenge lies in identifying where this supreme leader resides. For most people, this is difficult to comprehend. Therefore, the concept can be simplified: walking in alignment with the revelations found in nature, the myriad phenomena of all things, is also considered walking in the Tao. If one's spiritual perception is dull and they cannot perceive these revelations, the idea can be further simplified: following the guidance of the greatest creator's messengers is essentially walking in the Tao. Road. The character is a combination of, which represents walking, and, which means, each or individual. Together, conveys the idea of each walking their own path. Essentially, road refers to individuals walking their own paths, free from external guidance or direction. It implies that one follows their inner desires and walks the path they personally believe to be right. If someone does not act or speak according to their inner will, they are not truly walking their own road. Summary. If a person does not act or speak according to the greatest creator's will, they are not walking in the Tao. If a person does not act or speak according to their inner desires, they are not walking on the road. As a result, we find that most people in humanity are neither walking in the Tao nor on the road, they are merely drifting with the wind. Why is the Tao of the greatest creator the best Tao for life, and the road of life Achanuan the best road for life? Because the Tao of the greatest creator is the righteous Tao, the ultimate Tao, and the road of life Achanuan is the road of blessings, the heavenly road. This raises another question: what kind of consciousness drives bees to make honey, spiders to weave webs, and migratory birds to navigate their journeys? My answer is that they do not operate under any specific type of consciousness, they act purely on instinct. But then, what is instinct? Instinct is precisely subconscious awareness, which aligns with what Buddhism describes as aleya consciousness. From the perspective of spiritual cultivation, humans have a small self and a greater self. The small self represents conscious awareness, while the greater self embodies subconscious wisdom. The greater self determines everything about the small self. This brings us to an intriguing question: who exactly is searching for a toilet in the dream? We must first ask, who designed this dream scenario where we urgently need to find a toilet? The answer is obvious: it is the subconscious. Then, is the subconscious me still truly me? My answer is this: the subconscious is the Tao. It is the Tao that governs all occurrences and transformations. Hunger makes us crave food, fatigue makes us seek sleep, a full bladder makes us want to urinate, and pain makes us groan. All these natural phenomena result from the operation of the Tao. This is the natural way. When we align with the natural way, we experience health, smooth progress, and freedom from misfortune. When we act against the natural way, we encounter illness, difficulties, and disasters, and, naturally, we may wet the bed. The ultimate revelation of dreaming about urgently finding a toilet is this: the Tao governs all events and changes. The best way to live is to follow the natural way. With this understanding, we see more clearly that the higher the level of a life, the more it seeks spiritual matters, while the lower the level, the more it pursues material rationality. This is why the guide encourages us to live a spiritual life rather than a rational one, because rationality is a human trait, whereas spirituality is a celestial trait. Rationality belongs to the material realm, whereas spirituality belongs to the non-material realm. The path of moderation for the sage. Xiefeng. A large tree that provides shade and shelter is spared from being chopped down by carpenters because it is considered useless. A hen, on the other hand, is spared from slaughter because it is useful and lays eggs. Hence, Confucius advised his disciples to position themselves between being talented and untalented. How does one find balance between talent and lack of talent? Is there a deeper wisdom hidden in this idea? When I went abroad as a translator, my superiors considered potential factors beyond just my language skills. I was proficient in accounting, clerical work, and statistics. As a level 5 fitter, a role often referred to as the jack of all trades in mechanical fields, I was well versed in mechanical schematics and construction. If needed, I could install and repair lathes, gasoline engines, diesel engines, and drilling rigs. Moreover, I had basic knowledge of foreign trade correspondence, credit procedures, import-export processes, and customs clearance. By these standards, I was considered talented and deemed an ideal candidate for the overseas assignment. Before I left, I casually remarked to a colleague that the company could use me in multiple roles due to my varied skills. Unexpectedly, my colleague responded, "Why bother knowing so much? Once you're abroad, just stick to translating and feign ignorance in everything else. Otherwise, you'll overwork yourself and invite resentment from others." I was taken aback but soon understood. The ancients warned that, in troubled times, excessive talent is a root of misfortune, and that, mastering 1,000 techniques is less valuable than excelling in one. A person should neither be overly talented nor completely untalented but should adapt to circumstances. The balance between talent and lack thereof extends to the philosophy of moderation. The concept of moderation has faced criticism for being indecisive, opportunistic, and overly accommodating. Critics argue, 1 is 1, and 2 is 2. What is this ambiguous 1.5? Love is love, and hate is hate. What is this undefined middle ground? For a long time, I scoffed at the idea of moderation, viewing it as unworthy of a true man. However, as I gained life experience, especially through the ups and downs of human relationships, I came to realize that moderation embodies the qualities of a sage and reflects the Tao. Without broad knowledge, one cannot grasp its essence. When dealing with the poor and the rich, leaders and subordinates, intellectuals and laborers, religions and political parties, men and women, governments and underground groups, Chinese and foreigners, the elderly and the young, conservatives and innovators, suppression and resistance, violence and cooperation, I find myself standing in the middle ground, avoiding favoritism. The sun shines equally on the good and the wicked, and flowing water nourishes both the earth and humanity without discrimination. If I am to follow the Tao, I must let things take their natural course. I grew up in poverty. During my 3 years at the Zhangjiago Geological Technical School in Hebei Province, the school cafeteria cook once remarked, "You've had the worst meals among the thousands of students here over the past 3 years." While studying at the University of International Business and Economics in Beijing, my classmates suggested pooling 12 yuan each for a shared meal, but I declined because I couldn't afford it. I've always finished every grain of rice in my bowl, a habit rooted not only in the understanding that each grain is hard-earned, but also in my personal experience of near starvation in 1958 and 1960. Whether it's green onions dipped in soybean paste from the northeast, sour noodles from the northwest, sweet foods from the south, or spicy Sichuan cuisine, whether it's Chinese or Western dishes, I savor every meal as if it were a delicacy. Friends often remark, "Watching you eat makes the food look delicious." Because of my humble beginnings, I once believed that all poor people were inherently righteous, and all rich people were unjust. However, after climbing into the middle class and hiring nearly 100 workers poorer than me, I was disheartened by their laziness, irresponsibility, theft, lies, and ungratefulness. It became evident that some people are destined to remain poor. I once hired a lawyer to fight a year-long lawsuit against the National Trade Union, representing the poor. In the end, my eloquent speech made a difference, and I won the case. Before the law, the poor were left speechless and without a leg to stand on. Does this mean I now side with the rich? Not at all. The arrogance of the wealthy, their cutting remarks, and their ostentatious displays often leave the less fortunate feeling humiliated. I sometimes think, aside from your money, what else do you have? I've always been under others' leadership and detested the domineering and condescending manner of those in power, convinced that no official was truly good. However, when I later had the chance to lead others myself, I came to realize that being in a leadership position is no easy task either. The masses have their reasons, and those in leadership have their challenges. An irreconcilable dilemma exists between the two. I was once a member of the working class and deeply envied intellectuals. I thought they understood many principles, could distinguish truth from falsehood, and upheld justice, serving as the backbone of enterprises and the nation. Later, after graduating from the Education Institute and becoming a middle school teacher, I became an intellectual myself. However, I quickly discovered that intellectuals can be narrow-minded, self-serving, and overly concerned with trivial matters. On the surface, they may appear courteous and witty, but deep down, they are often masters of internal conflict. Currently, I have written nearly 1 million words in articles and can now be considered a genuine intellectual. My 10 months of experience online have profoundly revealed to me that intellectuals are not necessarily admirable. Famous intellectuals often disregard those without status, speaking in grandiose and polished rhetoric while their true intentions and actions often tell a different story. As for the majority of ordinary intellectuals, deep down, their attitude seems to be, I know you're capable, but I'll do everything I can to prevent your success. Jealousy may well be the innate nature of intellectuals. They envy not only the talents of their colleagues, classmates, and friends but also those of people everywhere, whether in the present or throughout history. Intellectuals tend to be more adept at hindering progress than fostering it. If they do offer praise or admiration for someone, it is usually because they stand to gain something from it, or the person being praised is a historical figure, deceased, or a foreigner. Otherwise, such praise rarely comes from a place of genuine sincerity. I was once a devout communist, idolizing Marx and Lenin and firmly believing that religion is the opium of the people. However, after studying the Bible, the Quran, Buddhist scriptures, and the Tao Te Ching, I came to realize how shallow and uninformed Marx and Lenin truly were. Later, I participated in religious activities and experienced various practices and rituals. Coupled with observing the fanaticism and zealotry of certain religious organizations and individuals, I came to understand that religion not only anesthetizes people's spirits but also constrains their souls and instills a sense of terror in their minds. I am a chauvinist, believing that men should have the final say in family matters and that women should stay out of politics. In my view, men should naturally be strong and brave, while women should be gentle and virtuous. This balance of strength and softness is the way of nature. However, I later realized that some men do not fit this mold. They are neither strong nor brave but instead gentle, even competing with women for the role of gentleness. This inevitably causes distress for women. When faced with such men, women have no choice but to become strong and assertive, embracing a form of female chauvinism. I am also a statist, firmly believing that everyone must operate within the framework of the Constitution and laws. Only in this way can society maintain order and harmony, enabling people to fully utilize their talents and resources. If societal problems arise, the first course of action should be to amend the Constitution and laws. Once established, these laws must be strictly adhered to by everyone, from top to bottom. No one should act outside the boundaries of the Constitution and laws, and any violation should be treated as a crime. The problem is that sometimes, in certain places, some people go beyond the bounds of the law. They bully others without facing legal restraint or punishment. What should I do then? I can't always endure such situations. I must take action. I firmly believe that being pitied or sympathized with is a disgrace for a man. When left with no other choice, I would have to go rogue. When cries for help go unanswered, I have no choice but to join or form a criminal group. Regardless of the consequences, I will fight back. If you won't let me live, why should I let you live comfortably? Somebody once said something absurd: those who are not of our kind must have different hearts. After interacting with black and white people for over 10 years, I came to realize that all human hearts are made of flesh. Many black and white people have been exceptionally friendly to me, more sincere and easier to get along with than some of my own compatriots. There is no place in the world without fragrant grass. Wherever there is human warmth, one can find a home. A true man's ambitions should reach all corners of the world. Chinese, foreigners, black, white, yellow, aren't we all human beings? The issue between the elderly and the young boils down to one unchanging principle: the young must respect the elderly, and the elderly must care for the young. Beyond this, judgments cannot be based on age alone. The young should not read Water Margin, and the old should not read Romance of the Three Kingdoms, which proves that both young and old have their own strengths and weaknesses. Determining who is right or wrong must be done on a case-by-case basis. In summary, nothing is conclusive, and human affairs are never set in stone. Our minds must remain in a state of emptiness, ignorance, humility, and moderation, ready to act according to circumstances and adapt to the flow of life. When the weather is fair, the people harmonious, and all is well, the saint should remain dormant, silent for 1,000 years, letting everything take its natural course. But when chaos abounds and lives are plunged into suffering, the saint must act swiftly and decisively, guiding the world back to order. To become a sage, one must practice moderation. Any bias will turn one into a scoundrel. The Saint. Xiefeng. Zhuangzi said, "Take heaven as the foundation, virtue as the root, the way as the door, and the signs of change as the teachings. This is the saint." In the intermediate treasury of classical advice in Life Achanuan, Part 1, the concept of the saint is described as follows. When the world aligns with the Tao, the saint fulfills their mission. When the world is in disorder, the saint perseveres and emerges. The saint practices non-action and teaches with wise words. The saint understands that the way of nature cannot be violated and thus adheres to the path of profound stillness. The saint follows heavenly laws, returns to the truth, and remains unbound by worldly conventions. The saint knows without taking action, recognizes without being seen, and accomplishes without striving. The saint does not seek greatness, yet achieves greatness. The saint desires what others do not desire, places no value on rare treasures, learns what others do not learn, corrects the mistakes of the masses, and supports the natural order of all things without imposing force. The saint avoids excess, extravagance, and arrogance. The saint embraces unity as a model for the world. The saint knows themselves without seeking attention, loves themselves without seeking admiration. The saint does not hoard. The more they give to others, the more they have. The saint's way is to act without contention, to use without greed. The saint is nameless, the divine person claims no credit, and the ultimate person transcends the self. The saint's way requires minimal effort yet achieves significant results. The saint is not omnipotent, no thing has a perfect purpose, and neither heaven nor earth achieves complete perfection. The saint has no divided heart, and heaven follows a single way. The saint does not focus on life or death but seeks to understand their underlying reasons. The saint relies on the way for transformation, not on intelligence or cunning. Destiny is self-created, and the saint understands its principles. The saint is like a spiritual herb bestowed by heaven upon the earth, a miraculous elixir capable of curing all ailments. The saint absorbs the essence of the sun and moon, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, and transforms into a celestial being or divine figure. The saint embodies the spirit of the greatest creator, serving as the creator's representative and messenger on earth and as the pinnacle of humanity. The wisdom of the saint is profound and unfathomable. Jesus, Sakyamuni, and Laozi are the saints among sages. Great philosophers, scientists, thinkers, and politicians also exhibit the qualities of the saint. The wisdom of the saint does not primarily stem from knowledge or education but from spiritual resonance with the way. The saint possesses keen spiritual awareness. The saint transcends life and death, personal biases, fixed conclusions, hatred, and attachments. They flow with change and adhere to the principles of yin and yang. Zhuge Liang resolutely said, "To save the suffering and the troubled is the work of the saint." In times of turmoil in human society, it is only the saint who can guide humanity out of confusion and hardship. Great saints will inevitably emerge in human society, for only through the emergence of great saints can the worthy not be left behind in the wild, and the world become one family. May our Life Genuine Academy members first become noble people, then sages, and ultimately saints. Let us open our eyes wide and seek the saint. Let our consciousness enter the new era first. Let our consciousness enter the new era first. Xie Feng. February 7, 2025. Now that we have cars, trains, and airplanes, would you still travel long distances in an ox cart or a horse-drawn carriage? Now that we have smartphones, would you still write letters and deliver them to the post office for a mailman to send them thousands of miles away? Do you still use an abacus? Do you still walk 2 kilometers to fetch water? Do you still carry a basket of dirty laundry to the river to wash your clothes? Do you still build houses by stacking mud bricks? Now that you have the second home, are you still eager to get married, start a family, and raise children as a safeguard for old age? The era of Life Genuine has arrived, a time of universal brotherhood, where the whole world is one family. Are you still foolishly enthusiastic about sacrificing yourself for your nation? Nations like the United States, Germany, Russia, Iran, and China will soon become things of the past. The nation itself will turn into a historical phenomenon displayed in museums. Will you still insist on distinguishing "this is our country" from "that is another country"? Artificial intelligence has been born and is growing rapidly. Do you still want to become an accountant, lawyer, teacher, clerk, or statistician? Robots will soon replace almost all manual labor. Do you still intend to rely on physical work for survival? Will gas stations still employ workers dedicated solely to fueling vehicles? Every job that can be programmed will soon be replaced by automated systems. Will human operators still be needed? As more government departments are compressed or abolished, do you still aspire to be a civil servant or climb the bureaucratic ladder just to scrape by? With the emergence and growing dominance of silicon-based life, we will eventually realize that humanity is gradually evolving into an unnecessary species on this planet. People will become consumers of Earth's resources and producers of waste, destructive forces rather than its protectors. Reflect on this. Are we now on the eve of a great purification? Is it still worthwhile to strain one's brain trying to start a business and become rich? In the future, most of our interactions will not be with concrete individuals but with virtual information. Every smartphone user should ask themselves, do you spend more time scrolling on your phone or engaging in face-to-face conversation? Facts and trends indicate that, in the future, people's need for spiritual and soul wealth will far exceed their need for material wealth. Perhaps the joy and comfort brought by someone far away will far surpass the spiritual satisfaction provided by those nearby. Clearly, seeking the source of spiritual and soul wealth is far more important than merely making money. Those who do not plan for eternity are unfit to plan for even the present moment. Those who do not plan for the whole situation are unfit to plan for even a small domain. Those who do not plan for their entire life are not capable of planning even one undertaking. Those who do not plan for heaven are not fit to plan for their whole life. Times are evolving. In an era of development, traditional ideas and methods will not continue along their old trajectories. Only by breaking free from the constraints of traditional culture and the shackles of conventional production and lifestyle can we align with the laws of the new era. If we cling to the old ways, we will inevitably be eliminated by the new era, just as television and newspapers are gradually being phased out. Marriages and families will be phased out, nations will disappear, and even political parties and religions will be eliminated. Similarly, current forms of currency will become obsolete, and officials and billionaires will be replaced. Only those with a perfected soul garden will endure. Let our consciousness enter the new era first and then strive to have our bodies follow. Be the servant of all. Xie Feng. February 5, 2025. Jesus Christ told us, "Be the servant of all." Matthew 9 verse 35. Whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted. Luke 18 verse 14. Being a servant brings boundless benefits. Observe those around you. Those who seek to be served by others often suffer from illness or misfortune. Though they enjoy the service of those around them, they endure discomfort and pain. In contrast, those who willingly serve others are always healthy and full of vitality. The way of heaven is just. The tiger is mighty, yet it is not given wings, nor is it allowed to reproduce excessively. The mouse is lowly, yet it is granted the ability to thrive and multiply boundlessly. The way of heaven does not allow any one being to monopolize all advantages. Be a servant to all from the depths of your heart. Serve others willingly, wholeheartedly, and with devotion. Do not concern yourself with whether those you serve are good or bad, and do not calculate whether you should serve or not. Do not dwell on who owes whom. Instead, be like the sun, radiating light and warmth to those around you. Be like a blooming flower, offering the beauty and fragrance of your life. By doing so, you will reap at least two great rewards: enduring health and a guaranteed place in the heavenly kingdom. Never expect others to serve you. To enjoy the service of others is to incur a loss in the way of heaven. Never calculate gains and losses, simply present the best and kindest version of yourself to the world. Never seek praise from others. The more one delights in worldly success, the further one drifts from the heavenly kingdom. Never think that old age entitles you to be served. Never entertain such thoughts. Even at the age of 120, one can still serve all beings and be the servant of all. Until you reach the heavenly kingdom, never waver in your commitment and determination to be the servant of all. Never harbor the slightest doubt about the guide's roadmap. When your faith wavers, the foundation of your life will tremble, your path will become unclear, and demons and evil spirits will seize the opportunity to invade. Be a servant, never a slave. Xie Feng. February 6, 2025. A servant is a voluntary and willing helper, whereas a slave is someone forced into labor, suffering hardship under oppression, and losing their dignity in submission. Why be a servant? Because Christ Jesus taught us to be the servant of all. If one wishes to earn the respect of others and become a leader revered by many, one must first become the servant of all. I would like to add two more points. Only those with the mindset and state of a servant can be accepted into heaven, and only those with a servant's awareness can maintain inner peace and physical health. Why not be a slave? Because a slave is a product of oppression by a dominant force, not the result of a voluntary choice. A servant retains dignity, whereas a slave has none, therefore, one must never become a slave. Being a servant is a privilege reserved for noble and strong individuals. Only the strong can truly serve others. The pitiful and weak do not have the qualification to be servants. Look at the grass, wildflowers, trees, insects, birds, and animals across the vast mountains and land. Who takes care of them? When a gentle drizzle falls, nourishing everything and bringing vitality to all, who sends this life-giving dew to sustain the creatures of the earth? Do you see it? The one tending to all life is the greatest creator. Does the greatest creator not